Me and my wife were on a romantic vacation in the Philippines after our wedding. On the final days, she suddenly wanted to stay without me to find herself despite the plan. So I cut her off financially and left. The air hung thick and heavy over Boracay, smelling of salt spray and overripe mangoes. Elias watched the sun bleed orange across the vast expanse of white beach. This was supposed to be the exhale, the sweet, silent confirmation of their new life. He turned to Serena, his wife of 3 weeks, expecting the usual shared awe, but her eyes tracked the horizon, unseeing. "It's unbelievable, isn't it?" Elias murmured, resting his hand lightly on her bare shoulder. The skin felt strangely cool beneath his touch. Serena shifted, pulling away just enough so his fingers met only empty air. "It's a lot of sand, Elias." He blinked, the forced lightness in her voice grating against the gentle lapping of the tide. They had booked the last 5 days here precisely to escape the pressure of the wedding planning, the mortgage closing, the relentless push of his startup. He had envisioned slow mornings, endless swims, rediscovering the spark that got them engaged. "More than just sand," he corrected, trying to keep the edge out of his tone. "It's supposed to be us, away from everything." They walked toward their private cabana, the fine grains sticking to Elias's damp feet. The next morning, while Elias reviewed quarterly projections on his tablet, a habit he promised himself he would break, Serena sat rigidly on the edge of the daybed, tracing patterns on the rattan weave. "I need to talk to you." Her voice was flat, devoid of melody. Elias closed the tablet with a sharp snap. "Okay, what is it? Did you hear back from your sister about the apartment lease?" "No, it's not about logistics." She finally looked up, her usually bright eyes shadowed. "I can't go back yet." The statement hung there, heavier than the humidity. Elias felt a strange, cold tightening in his chest, a sensation akin to diving too deep underwater. "I can't go back?" "Serena, our flight leaves in 48 hours. The movers are scheduled for Tuesday. I need to stay here for a while. Stay alone. We just got married." "What are you talking about?" "I need space, Elias, real space." This whole thing, the planning, the rush, the wedding knit, it felt like I was building your life. I haven't figured out what I want yet. I need to be here, away from the noise. Elias stood up, the gentle sway of the cabana suddenly making him nauseous. He walked to the edge of the veranda, looking out at Aling Nena, the owner of the small beachside grill they frequented, sweeping sand from her open-air seating area. "Space," Elias repeated, the word tasting like ash. "We are literally on opposite sides of the planet from our home, and you want space? You want independence? Fine. You want to find yourself. Go find yourself." He turned back, his jaw locked tight. "But you aren't finding yourself on my dime. Not anymore." Serena flinched as if struck. "Elias, don't be cruel. We're married." "We were married. That was the plan. You just derailed the whole itinerary. You want to sever ties. I'll help you." He strode into the room, grabbing his wallet, pulled out the emergency credit card he kept separate for travel expenses, the one linked directly to their joint savings account, and tossed it onto the bedspread. "That covers your hotel for 3 more nights. After that, you figure it out. I'm booking a solo flight home tonight." He didn't wait for her reply. He walked out, the sound of the waves suddenly deafening, drowning out the silent, terrified tremor running through his hands. The California sun felt sterile compared to the tropical heat. Back in their minimalist, newly purchased home in the hills, Elias moved through the rooms like a ghost. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. The betrayal, the sheer audacity of her request on the final leg of their honeymoon, was a constant dull throb behind his eyes. Marcus found him 3 days after his return, sitting in the dark living room, staring at the reflection of the city lights in the unlit screen of the massive television. "You look like you wrestled a jeepney and lost," Marcus said, dropping a heavy bag of takeout onto the counter. Elias didn't move. "She stayed in Manila. Said she needed to breathe." "Breathe?" "Elias, you're married. That's not breathing. It's desertion." Marcus pulled out a chair, dragging it loudly across the hardwood floor. "Did you call her lawyer? Did you freeze the accounts?" "The joint accounts are frozen." "I handled it." Elias finally turned his head, his expression vacant. "It's the timing, Marcus. The wedding was perfect. 3 months ago, she was fine then. She was laughing, planning the house. People lie. You know that better than anyone in tech." Marcus leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial murmur. "I was cleaning out the guest room closet yesterday. grabbing the spare linens for the charity drive. Ada, I found a box of old tax documents she hadn't shredded. Hidden under a stack of old yearbooks, Elias felt a sudden, sharp intake of breath. What documents? Old bank statements from 18 months ago. Before you even proposed, there were wire transfers. Regular ones. To an account in Miami. A man's name. The world tilted. Elias pushed himself up, stumbling toward the kitchen island, gripping the granite countertop until his knuckles turned white. 18 months? That meant while he was agonizing over the engagement ring, while they were selecting vendors, she was systematically funding another life. Show me. Marcus slid his phone across the granite. The screen displayed scanned images of transfers, clean dates, specific amounts. The Miami address belonged to a man named Julian. A boutique gallery owner Elias vaguely remembered Serena mentioning once, years ago, before they were serious. She was using us as a launchpad, Elias whispered, the realization hitting him with the force of a physical blow. She married me for stability, for the visa, for the house, while keeping an escape fund open. He didn't scream, he didn't throw anything. He felt a strange, crystalline calm settle over him. The heartbreak solidified into something harder, something useful. Call Chloe, Elias instructed Marcus, his voice steady, almost mechanical. Tell her I'm going dark for a while. Tell her I need her to handle the paperwork for the divorce petition. And tell her to find me a new office space. Something bigger. Bigger, Elias. You just lost your wife. You should be drinking, not expanding the business. I lost a liability. I'm gaining leverage. That company, Vance Dynamics, it's about to become my entire world. I will build it so high that when she finally crawls back, she won't even be able to see the base. 2 years passed in a blur of caffeine, late-night code deployments, and the smell of ozone from overworked servers. Elias became a creature of the office, stopped sleeping more than 4 hours, fueled by the memory of Serena's cool dismissal on that Philippine beach. His sister, Chloe, was his anchor. She managed the legal separation, ensuring Serena received nothing but the bare minimum required by law for a spouse in a short-term marriage, citing irreconcilable differences rooted in undisclosed premarital conduct. One rainy Tuesday, Elias sat across a massive mahogany table from Kenji Sato, his primary investor and now de facto business partner. Kenji, meticulous and quiet, tapped a silver pen against a contract. The Series D funding closed today, Elias. Your valuation is triple what we projected last quarter. Vance Dynamics is solid. We've done what few people manage in a decade. Solid isn't enough, Elias countered, leaning back, watching the droplets streak down the panoramic window overlooking San Francisco. We need market domination. Want David Chen out of the app division by Q3. He's too cautious. Kenji raised an eyebrow, a slight knowing smile touching his lips. David is good, Elias. Competitive, but good. Good is the enemy of great, Kenji. I want the best. I want to be the only one left standing. Elias felt a thrill, cold and sharp, whenever he spoke of professional conquest. It was cleaner than rage. David Chen, indeed competitive, had tried to undermine Elias during a critical merger presentation the week before. Elias remembered the moment vividly. David, slick in a charcoal suit, presenting projections that seemed slightly inflated. Your revenue streams look optimistic, David. Elias had cut in smoothly, his voice ringing clearly across the boardroom. Did you account for the projected regulatory slowdown in the southeast sector? Or are we basing this model on pure hope? David's face flushed crimson. Elias, those projections are conservative based on conservative. Ha! Elias laughed, a short, sharp bark that echoed in the sudden silence. Conservative means you plan to scrape by, plan to own the whole field. Kenji scrapped David's proposal. We move forward with my revised timeline. Next agenda item. David Chen walked out of the meeting 10 minutes later, his resignation already typed up and emailed before he reached the elevator bank. Elias needed a reset. The city was grinding him down, even with the success. He drove south, seeking quiet, ending up at his grandma, Lola, Elena's small, fragrant house nestled in the rolling hills outside of Sacramento. The air smelled of rosemary and old wood. Lola, Elena, her skin like aged parchment, sat rocking slowly on the porch swing, shelling walnuts into a metal bowl. Clack, clack, clack. You bring the storm with you, Apo, she observed without looking up. Elias sat on the step below her. I built an empire, Lola. I won. Winning means nothing if you conquer the wrong territory. She paused her work, her eyes dark and sharp, fixing on him. You look like a king on a throne made of broken glass. It was necessary. She betrayed me before we even started. She tried to leave me stranded on an island. Lola Alina picked up a perfect, unbroken piece of walnut meat. Betrayal is a poison. You drank it, Elias. And now, you are trying to cure the poison by becoming a bigger poison. You chase shadow revenge. What else do I chase? I cut her off. She signed the papers. She vanished. Did she? Duh. Or did you just stop looking at the periphery? Lola Alina handed him a piece of walnut. When you build a wall so high, sometimes you forget what you built it to keep out in, what you built it to keep in. Elias chewed the nuts slowly. The simple taste grounded him more than any corporate merger had. I need to know she's gone, truly gone. Then stop building the wall higher. Look at what you have. The call came 6 months later, while Elias was reviewing blueprints for the new corporate headquarters. It was Chloe, her voice tight with suppressed anger. Elias, Serena is here. At my apartment. She's hysterical. Elias leaned back in his leather chair, the success of the last few years suddenly feeling hollow. Why is she there? Divorce is final. She says she's destitute. She says you ruined her life. She's crying, Elias. She's claiming you abandoned her in the Philippines. I gave her 3 days' notice in the emergency card. She chose to stay. She's leaning hard on the victim narrative now. And she brought her mother. Veronica Hayes, Serena's mother, was a woman whose elegance always seemed to mask a deep, grasping insecurity. Elias braced himself. When he arrived at Chloe's apartment, the air crackled. Serena sat huddled on the sofa, her expensive clothes replaced by worn denim, her face puffy. Veronica stood over her, radiating disapproval. Elias, look at this mess. Veronica began immediately, gesturing toward Serena with a manicured hand. You destroyed her. You took her away from paradise and then cut her off like a charity case. Serena looked up, her eyes wide and shimmering with unshed tears. Elias, please. I was confused. I was scared. I know I handled Boracay badly, but I was suffocating. I thought we could talk. I thought we could fix this. Fix what, Serena? Elias asked, his voice low, measured. He kept his distance, standing near the doorway. The marriage that ended before it started? The months you spent planning your escape before the ring was even on your finger? Serena's performance faltered. Veronica shot Elias a venomous look. That is slander, Elias. You have no proof of anything before the wedding, Veronica snapped. I have full access to your financial history, Veronica, thanks to your daughter's prior carelessness with documentation, Elias replied evenly, looking directly at Serena. And I have the final divorce decree which confirms you walked away on the honeymoon. Serena scrambled for control, shifting tactics instantly. It's not about the past. It's about now. I have nothing. I can't get a loan. I can't rent. You cut me off financially, Elias. You left me stranded. I left you with the resources you had earned up to that point. You chose independence. You chose to stay. I honored that choice, but I need money now, Serena wailed, switching seamlessly to full victim mode. I need a fresh start, and you owe me. You owe me for the emotional damage of that trip. Emotional damage? Elias let out a soft, humorless chuckle. You spent 6 months before our wedding building a lifeboat funded by my savings while I was planning a future with you. Chloe stepped forward, placing a hand on Elias's arm, a silent signal to remain calm. Serena, Elias is not responsible for your choices. You signed the papers. Serena ignored Chloe, focusing solely on Elias, her voice dropping into a manipulative, soft plea that was horrifyingly familiar. Elias, don't you remember how much I loved you? How much I wanted this life? I made a mistake. It was just a fling with Julian. It meant nothing compared to you. If you just help me now, I'll sign anything. We can start over. You're so successful now. What is a little money to you? You're being petty? Petty? No. Elias felt a surge of cold amusement. No, Serena, I am being precise. You mistake my success for weakness. That is the second mistake you have made regarding my finances. Veronica stepped in, trying to regain control of the scene. We need the funds released, Elias. We've already prepared the documentation. Serena needs a bridge loan to establish herself. Elias looked at Chloe, who nodded once, curtly. Elias, show them. Chloe walked to the dining table and produced a thick manila envelope. She laid it on the table, pushing it toward Veronica and Serena. This is a copy of the financing application Serena submitted last week to Redwood Bank for a small business loan, Chloe stated, her voice tight with legal precision. It lists your California home as collateral, and she forged your signature on the initial consent forms. Serena froze, her carefully constructed facade shattering. Veronica snatched the document, scanning the forged signature, her face draining of color. And this, Chloe continued, picking up an old, worn piece of plastic from the envelope. This is your old Visa card, Elias. The one you canceled 2 years ago when you cut off access to the joint savings. She tried to use this yesterday to pay the filing fees for the falsified deed transfer. It was declined. The bank flagged the activity. Silence descended, thick and suffocating, far worse than the humidity in Boracay. You tried to steal from me? Elias stated, his voice flat, devoid of inflection. He looked at Serena, not with hatred, but with a profound clinical disappointment. You didn't just want independence. You wanted my assets, liquidated and available even after the divorce. Serena finally broke, dropping the victim role entirely. Sharp, ugly sound escaped her lips, a sound like tearing fabric. You deserved it. You're cold. You threw me away on that beach because I needed air. You never loved me. You loved the idea of me being yours. I loved a version of you that didn't exist, Elias countered. The version that valued commitment over escape funds. The version that didn't try to bankrupt me using documents signed under false pretenses, Veronica. Seeing the legal trap clearly now, pulled Serena close, whispering fiercely. Serena stopped talking. Now Serena pulled away from her mother, desperation contorting her features. She lunged slightly toward Elias, her hands outstretched, not in aggression, but in a pathetic plea. Elias, please, I'm sorry, I'm begging you. I have nowhere to go. Come back. We can make this work. Just retract the fraud report. Don't ruin me. Elias watched her, remembering the initial shock on the beach, the sudden chill of betrayal. He saw the raw need in her eyes now, but it wasn't for him. It was for security. He met her gaze, finally allowing a sliver of the hard-won piece to show. You wanted space, Serena? You have it. All of it. He turned to Chloe. Contact Mr. Hayes immediately.
Ow.
Tell him the fraud investigation is proceeding. If she retracts all claims and removes the lien attempts by morning, we drop the criminal aspect. Otherwise, we proceed with full prosecution. Chloe nodded, already pulling out her phone. Elias walked back toward the door. He didn't look at Serena again, didn't acknowledge Veronica's sputtering protests. He paused only briefly at the threshold.